Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't already know, my name's Joe, and today's video is going to be about why I truly believe that ADHD is a superpower. Now, if you've watched a few of my videos, you know I'm constantly banging on about ADHD being a superpower. And you might be thinking, well, what really makes you say that? Now, let's talk about some of the great tendencies that we have if we have ADHD. And I'm going to be referring to my notes for this one. These videos are normally really raw, and they will be. There's going to be loads of mess ups in this video, but it's important that I get these out in the right order. So the first thing that makes ADHD a superpower is our ability to hyperfocus. Now, this is a bit of a contradictory one, isn't it? I'm sure you've all been there, and on one hand we're saying that we can't concentrate, and the next hand we're saying that we can hyperfocus. What's important to realise is we can hyperfocus in on topics, areas, subjects that we really want to, that we're genuinely interested in. So bear that in mind. And this channel is all about creating passion-driven businesses, along with fitness and all the other good stuff that I talk about. But think about that. You know, you have got hyperfocus. That's not normal. You've got ADHD. You're not the normal run-of-the-mill person. And that's an advantage. That really is an advantage. So we can use that hyperfocus to dial in on what we want to focus in on. And if you're using that to create a business, or you're using that to be the best person you can be, or drive towards a fitness goal, or in my case, all of those, then, you know, think about it. That's such a great quality to have. The next thing I want to talk about is our creativity. And I think because our brains are spinning round constantly, and you compare us to, like, I don't want to call them normal people because we are normal people, but non-ADHDers. But they could probably have an idea and just let it be. Whereas you and we could have an idea and we're going to obsess over that for a good while. And then we're going to take loads of notes in my case. So my notes app on my phone is just filled up with creative ideas that I've had. Now there's a bit of a process there because we're going to be in flux. We're going to be like overwhelmed. There's going to be ideas spilling out everywhere. And it's quite important to understand that having the idea is great, but taking loads of action on loads of different things is not going to be conducive to where we want to go. But be creative. And I've got this little process in my head, and I will document this in a video all on its own, but I'll have an idea and then I will take notes, and then I'll refer to those notes. I'll keep adding to them throughout the next week or month. And then if I'm still passionate about it, then I can take some action. But even if you don't decide to go ahead with it, you've probably done loads of research, and that makes us really well versed in many topics, which can only be a good thing. People preach about failing fast, but having these ideas and doing a deep dive on them and then not following through with them, you've learned something from that. And that's almost like failing fast, isn't it? That's why everyone preaches about failing fast, because when you fail, you learn. But if you've done a deep dive on something, you decided not to follow through with it, you've learned a lot along the way there. So don't shy away from being creative. Don't shy away from having these crazy ideas, because some of the most rich, successful entrepreneurs in this world have ADHD. I think it's quoted at the minute as 40% of them have actually came out and said they've had ADHD, and they're only the ones that A, been diagnosed, and B, telling the world they have ADHD. The second point I want to talk about is high energy. And again, this is a bit contradictory, isn't it? Because we do have times, periods of high energy, and we also have periods of low energy. But utilising those high energy periods to hyper focus in on something. And if you could probably correlate some of these topics, because we've probably got high energy when we are hyper focused, because we are focused about something that we're passionate about. And then when we're not, you know, we can be quite lethargic. I spend a lot of time like chilling out on the sofa, or, you know, I'm either flat out or then I want to chill. But the periods where you are flat out and you are really busy, use them, try and be productive with them. And this isn't me like harping on about being productive every minute of the day, but we want to be driving towards creating a lifestyle for ourselves and harnessing these ADHD tendencies to be the best people we can be and live the life we want to lead. Now, the next point is risk taking and courage. Most people are not willing to take the risk, and I see this all the time. I see really, really clever people. I've been fortunate enough to work with some really well educated people, but they're kind of like stuck in a rut. They get in a company, they don't want to leave, they stay there. They could leave to go and get more experience, a better package, benefit their family more financially, but they get so stuck in a rut and they're not able to take these risks, or they're not willing to take these risks. The same with like these entrepreneurial journeys. There's nothing wrong. Like starting a business in this day and age is really cheap. Maybe it's the not wanting to put yourself out there. Now, me sitting in front of a camera is really nerving to me. Like, it's not natural whatsoever. I'm kind of finding it quite therapeutic, but I haven't even uploaded the video yet while I'm recording this. So, like, there's the recording it, then there's actually uploading it. There's so many little hurdles there, but we've got ADHD. We are willing to take these risks. And again, you should lean into that. Take these risks. What I would say is if the risk involves spending loads of money and you might not follow through with it, then maybe just think about it a little bit. Go back to what I said before, take some notes. Make sure you're genuinely going to be passionate about it in a week, a month, 2 months' time, and then follow through with it, particularly if you've got to spend some money. But if the risk involves not spending any money, if it's like on an entrepreneurial journey, then just go for it. If the risk is starting a new fitness avenue, class, whatever it is, hobby, then as long as it's not going to cost you loads of money, and I'm sure you've all been there, like my garage is absolutely full up with sports equipment, golf clubs, rackets for various sports, bats for various sports, mountain bikes, all sorts. And some of that has cost me money and I've learned my lesson along the way, but if you're willing to take a bit of a risk, then just go for it. But just bear in mind the financials, because we have got a tendency to just to dive into things and maybe spend money on things that we might not get the benefit from. And it doesn't have to be a monetary value we get back. It might just be if it's going to improve your life in any way, shape or form, then for me, that's worthwhile doing. The next point is problem solving, and we might not be the most intelligent people, you may well be. I wouldn't class myself as the most intellectual person, but I think because I think about things very, very deeply, and let's refer to the non-ADHDers again, I think a lot of people would maybe get a problem and they might try and solve it for an hour or two, and if they can't, they'll just leave it, whereas we might take it home from work if we had this problem at work, and then we'll be thinking about it all night, and then we'll go into the next day, but think about all that time you spent thinking about it. You're much more likely to come to a solution within that time frame because we've spent more time on it. And I think that's just like simple, isn't it? The more time you spend on something, the more likely you are to get to the problem solving goal at the end. And that's really, really good for us. So I truly believe that, I know it can be painful at times that a brain doesn't switch off and it's constantly revolving around thinking about things, but that is a superpower in itself. The next point is multitasking, and again, this is a contradictory one, isn't it? Because we are the web browser with a million tabs open, but we often jump from one to one to one. Now, it's about harnessing that and understanding that it's normal, but you need to focus in on one thing at a time. And there's loads of methods out there. I think because of my work environment throughout my career, I've sort of learned my own process in my head, but just focused out in on stuff. Some people use a timer. They might set a timer for 20, 25 minutes. I think it's called the Pomodoro effect or Pomodoro timer method. Don't quote me on that, but I've seen people talk about that sort of thing. Not something I've tried, but that could be an avenue for you. I personally write stuff down. I'm quite good with lists. If I sit there with a scrap piece of paper at work, I write down loads of stuff I have to get through, then I do. If it's my own businesses, then I use my notes app on my phone. I've actually got a widget on my phone which has to-do lists. So every time I open my phone, I've got this to-do list in front of me, and I'll just go, okay, well, I'm going to work on that, tick it off. There's something quite satisfying as well about ticking stuff off, but you are going to be able to multitask really, really well. At the same time, you're quite often going to be quite scattered and struggle to focus in on one thing at a time. But just dial in on that and try and find what method works for you. Now, the last point I've got written down here is about physical fitness, mental well-being. Now, I think this is more of a, because we've got ADHD, I personally believe that we get more of a bump out of going to the gym or working out or looking after our mental health, because we're getting that release of endorphins, we're getting that boost in dopamine that we're craving so badly. And if you are getting something, it's like having a job where you get paid really well. You're incentivized to do it more, aren't you? Now we're doing something that gives us loads of dopamine. Now that makes us more and more incentivized to do that, to follow through with it, because we need that. And when you're seeing and feeling the rewards from it, that's only a positive thing. And try and use that as fuel to continue doing it. Keep working on you. And I'm a firm believer that you need to look after number one first. And this is me talking from a family man here, which could sound quite selfish, but if I'm the best person I can be, you're the best person you can be, then you're going to be the best person for everyone around you, and everyone else is going to benefit from that. Not only that, but no one can argue that if you are keeping on top of your mental and physical fitness and health, then you're going to live for longer, you're going to be around, you're going to be more able-bodied for longer. There's no downsides to that, in my personal opinion. So let's recap. So I truly believe that ADHD is a superpower. I really, really believe it. And I want you to focus in the same way that I'm trying to dial in the best way I can on your personal fitness goals, on using your hyperfocus to dial in on starting a passion-driven business. And you'll hear me say passion-driven business a lot, because that's what I'm trying to do, and I want to inspire others. Not only inspire others, I want to connect with others that are trying to do that have ADHD. We've got the creative flair that we have. Utilise that. Write some notes. Like I say, don't dive into it. We've got high energy, enthusiasm for things that we really want to be infused by. Dial in on that. We've got the ability to take risks. Maybe not the ability, we've got the willingness to take risks, which a lot of other people don't. You see it all the time, like crazy, intelligent people who've just got so much potential but are just happy doing what they're doing. And to be honest, fair play to them. But we're not wired like that. So take these risks. Problem solving. We problem solve because we think about things for a lot longer than other people do, and that's a great skill to have. And then multitasking and physical health and fitness, we've already spoke about those right at the end, but that summarises what we just spoke about. Start utilising some of those. Put any comments you got down below, any thoughts, feelings you have on this video. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.